welcome to the Scott Allen Creative Vlog. I am Jason Brewer, one of the hosts here. I am also with Jeff Terpstra, who is the founder of Scott Allen Creative. We are doing these mini video series. We're just trying to provide you a little bit of insight, maybe pull back the curtain a little bit to help you understand more about marketing. And we want to just kind of go into the fact that who is Scott Allen? I don't even know who Scott Allen is. When I first met you, Jeff, I asked you that question. I didn't know you before our first meeting, and
that's usually the case.
That's usually the case. That is true. Unless I stalked you on Google, and which I kind of did as well. I did some research, and I was like, all right, Scott Allen Creative, Jeff Terpstra is the president, and I sat down with you at a coffee shop here in town. We are located in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and one of my first questions was, well, how did you get connected to Scott Allen Creative? And what was your response?
So, believe it or not, I have a Dutch last name, but I'm Scottish, Irish, partly. Back in Northumbria, back in around 1630, something like that. I'm just gonna say we're trying to keep these videos short. Okay, I'll try to be quick in my story.
So if you're gonna do the entire history of
this is not bad time.
It's not the time.
Anyway, I'll be quick. So there were these two warriors, Scott and Allen, and they had a battle, and they had to fight to the death. One chose a real heavy broadsword, because, man, you hit with that, bad things happen. And another one chose a really narrow, light sword that you can be quicker with. So not as much effect, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, they fought for hours. At the end of the battle, they were just worn out, could not lift up the sword one more time, but they both had cuts and bleeding, but they couldn't defeat each other. So Scott and Allen were undefeated foes that in the end became the best of friends, and the rest of their life they fought on the same side to win their country. And so we heard that story and we thought, that has to be our name, for sure.
I would probably explain that more often.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't either until today.
Oh, man. That's amazing. That's quite the story, because I heard it differently. Because when you heard me ask you that question, you just bluntly said, I founded Scott Allen Creative. I was like, but who's Scott Allen?
Yeah.
You're not Scott Allen. Who's Scott Allen? And so
the real story is that Ben Braidaway was our creative director. He was with us for 16 years. Absolutely love that guy. He's in Spain right now, and I miss him like crazy. But him and I really helped Scott Allen grow together in the very beginning. And Braidaway and Terpstra did not sound like a cool agency name as we were sitting down trying to brainstorm an agency name. We wanted something that would transfer well across the world, across the country. And the simple thing is it's our middle names. My middle name is Scott, his middle name is Allen. And that seemed to work a lot better than Terpstra Braidaway. So that's the real origin.
So the battle that you speak of in history really was more of a battle between these two minds. It was an imaginary battle.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, it was
Scott. It's going to be the Scott Creative Agency.
Yeah.
And then
true.
Allen was like, no, it's going to be the Allen Creative Agency, and they just fought, and they couldn't win out. Right.
That's true.
Yeah. I'm understanding history now. But in all seriousness, like, how did Scott Allen really, not just the name, but how did it come about?
I have been doing marketing and branding all my life, and in 1992, I came home because I wanted to be closer to my family. We had a growing family. We were homeschooling, and I left a creative director's position that I absolutely loved, that I had been doing the previous 5 years. I just needed to be closer to my wife and children. That was our calling together. So I began a small design boutique agency out of our home. And we also started bringing young students in who loved art, because my struggle as a young artist was, can I use art for God? Can I use art in a purposeful way? And we wanted to encourage other young people that we knew, of families that we knew, who loved art but really didn't know if they could pursue that as a career, just to give them a chance to grow in their skills. So we invited, junior high students, high school students to come in, and I would teach them whatever I could. Wherever level they were at, we would teach them art. And it was a lot of fun. And we would teach them how to draw or paint, and then I'd have my kids sitting next to them, and they were learning the same things. And one of those students was Ben Braidaway, who was the Allen and Scott Allen. And he saw what I was doing in this, bedroom that was our office and said, how does the scanner work? Oh, that design, that's cool. How do you do that? And he just kind of started hanging around for a day or two a week. And then as we grew, we hired him part-time, then full-time. And I learned a lot from Ben through the years. He was a very sharp marketing mind. He would adapt at whatever needs our clients had. He learned how to build websites, and he worked with my son John on video work. And whatever, as we grew from being a design boutique to be more of a marketing partner, Ben and John were both by my side making that possible. And he gave us great success.
So for somebody who may be brand new to marketing, or maybe just starting an organization themselves or a business, talk to me about even just developing a name and the importance of that aspect of a brand, because that's almost a starting point.
Yeah.
The meaning behind it, and there's brands and names developed all the time. And yet maybe somebody's brand new to this and it's like, what do I do? What thought process should I go through to develop something that's meaningful as Scott Allen?
I think it's different from a corporate world to the nonprofit world. I really do. Like for us as an agency, we're in the agency space. So I looked at other agencies as my examples, the ones who are the best in the world. What are their names? Like Goodby and Silverstein, for example, or Ogilvy and Mather. And we saw that names were part of agency names, the founders. And so we kind of went in that direction with Scott Allen. And that made sense for us, but we also were sensitive to the fact that Terpstra Braidaway would not work on a regional, national scale, right? It just doesn't make sense and didn't sound good. And so Scott Allen is more transferable, we felt, throughout the country. So that was our criteria. We wanted to make it transferable for us. But as a nonprofit, that could be a whole nother topic for discussion of how do you come up with a name for a nonprofit. In fact, I'd like to dedicate one episode to that, because that's a really important process. And then you have to look at different things for that, and really what is the heart of the mission is ultimately of what you're trying to achieve, and making sure that your name could even be enlightening as far as who you are.
Yeah, and even just trying to capture that mission within the name is important. Yeah. So I hope you learned a little bit more about Scott Allen Creative. We wanted to provide this so that you weren't just coming across our videos and go, why should I care about Scott Allen? We wanted you to understand a little bit of the history, a little bit too far of the history of Scott Allen Creative, but hopefully it was helpful or enjoyable, or both. Thanks for joining us today.
Episode 8, our baby's made.
You better take this one over.